Okay, we are live. Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie Cassidy from Project Camelot, and I'm here today with David Sereda. Now, we're going to be talking about Voyager 1 and this sort of sudden, I don't know, coming out of space, the quantum, maybe quantum AI that was actually used, came back with an image that was not asked for, was not was self generated or whatever, supposedly seeing into another dimension. So that's kind of the nutshell. Michio Kaku went live talking about this at that same time. I know that Cliff High did a video. I haven't seen his video, but it's out there. And this all happened approximately less than 2 weeks ago, I would say, maybe even 1 week ago. So I've just been jam packed with stuff, and I just moved on top of it. So my life is a little topsy turvy at the moment. But David, welcome to the show, and it's great to have you here. I'm very excited to hear your response. I know you're just getting up to speed on this information. So whatever you can tell us would be great. And then we can go into other subjects, whatever you're ready and you've got prepared.
Okay, first of all, of course, this news about Voyager 1 immediately electrified me because we had a major event with Voyager 1 last fall, which I'm going to explain. And this is really, really serious what happened because it happened on the 19th of October, 2024. So let me share my screen here for a sec. The morning, like just past midnight, coming into the morning of October 19th, I heard the voice of who we know as Jesus, and his real name is Isa or Yeshua or whatever you want to call. I know that voice, and I wake up in the middle of the night, early on October 19th. You can see this date, and he tells me to do this calculation, which I'm going to show you. So I add or subtract days, and everybody knows the number 432, right? So if I add 432 days to that date, I land on Christmas date 2025. I heard this voice. I had no idea what these calculations would reveal. How does this happen? This is on the 19th of October. Now you have to understand that I didn't know what I was getting into. Then he said subtract 432 days. And this is the Ascension Day of the Mother Mary, celebrated every year in the Catholic and Orthodox churches by 1 day. And then I'm going to use the orbit of Venus, which is 225 days. Gotta go back in the house because I'm on a webinar, okay? Because I'm on a webinar. Your mom's coming soon. Okay, so sorry. Now, well, I think it was plus 225 days. So plus 225 days, that's an orbit of Venus. That is the Ascension Day of Jesus this year. Is two dates we get this year, strangely, for the Ascension Day. The Ascension Day of Jesus is 40 days after Easter, when 11 of his apostles saw him go up into the sky and go into the heavens, for lack of a better understanding of where he physically went. But why, with these calculations, did I get three of the most profound days in Christianity? In fact, another date I was given was this one, which very few people know about, and which is Planet 13951. I subtracted 139.51 days, and I also got June 1st, which is the Ascension Day. This planet is responsible for the miracle of the sun at Fatima. Okay, so the same date, October 19th, Voyager 1, 2024, the same date, I'm going to look for the news clip, Voyager 1 lost contact October 19th, 2024. This was all over the news. Now, let me just share screen this so you can see this. So this just happened. So I'm giving you some background that Voyager 1 has been cueing us. You see? Yes, it's true. Voyager 1 lost contact with NASA on October 19th. This is the same day I'm hearing a voice tell me to do these calculations that landed on the three most profound dates in Christianity. The probe's fault system protection system was triggered, causing it to shut off its primary X-band radio transmitter. This was extremely peculiar. Now, also that same date, October 19th, 2024, a military or satellite explodes for no reason. Here it is. Can you see this on your screen? October 19th. Yeah. Notice it's 4:30 Universal Time Code. Like, you know, that could be 4:32, right? When you're talking about a matter of 2 minutes. The Intelsat 33E, designed and manufactured by Boeing, broke up in geostationary orbit. Okay, this all happened on the 19th of October. Now, with the date it's giving me, which the closest date of the three dates will be Ascension Day. And Ascension Day this year, I want to show you this, for some reason, 2025 is two different dates. And it's on Feast of the Ascension. We go here. You see this? May 29th and June 1st for 2025. For Western and Eastern churches, it's very rare they're on the same date. And here is saying Western churches June 1st and May 29th. Now, with what's just happened, the newest news about the AI and Voyager 1, we're back to Voyager 1 again. And that's why I'm really interested, because today's date, the 16th of May, this story is breaking and coming into human consciousness. We're getting really close to this window of time. And another thing I want to point out on May 29th, being that the Zaytun apparitions, ended May 29th, I think it was 71. Yeah, you see this? That was the last date of the apparitions of Mary in Egypt in the 1960s, her body of light photographed above a Coptic Christian church, witnessed by millions of people, photographed. And the date she chooses to end the apparitions is May 29th, which would be the Ascension Day in the future, because the Ascension Day on a lunar calendar goes in this sine wave, and so you get a different date every year that eventually repeats itself. But the Ascension Day would not be May 29th until this year. So is it prophetic that something is about to happen on this planet? And now when this news just broke about Voyager 1, something big is up. So what do you know about the mysterious image and the data from the Voyager 1 that just occurred?
Well, we don't. It seems to. I've been searching. It seems to have gone pretty quiet. So initially, they were saying they were. This is very weird, but they were saying they were afraid to respond. So they were sent an image by the Voyager 1, I don't know if you call it quantum AI or whatever, it's some kind of technology from there. And it was looking out into space. Then they were sent an image, and they first somehow tapped into the image, and then they were worried that their whereabouts were going to be seen by whatever had sent us the image. I know it sounds really weird, but in other words, scientists were actually supposedly afraid they were going to be tracked by whatever sent the image. As for what the image looked like, I don't think we've really seen a clear picture of that. I think we've seen a facsimile of that. And I'm sure there's a lot that they're not saying. Okay, you can well imagine they're keeping quiet, but they got this far. So they seem to be willing to at least share that much with the public.
Well, remember, they're going to cover this up. I mean, one of the things I've been following, of course, is after the supposed drones in the story started in New Jersey and spread all over the world. And we got to the bottom of that. We could see data from real pilots testifying that civilian drones, which can't fly above 400 feet. I'm a drone pilot. I have a license, and you can't fly above 400 feet. Were interfacing with military drones that were chasing real UAP.
Yeah.
Then we started getting these radar blackouts at airports and what are called false radar returns, which reminds me of the Gulf of Tonkin incident at the end of the Vietnam War, where we thought on our radar we were getting attacked by Navy vessels, Asian Navy vessels that weren't actually there. And this is what has been causing the flight accidents and with the helicopter and the stuff that's going on in the airport in New Jersey.
Well,
So,
I mean, I think, wait one second, because that's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
whole different subject, and I'd love to talk about it.
well, it's all
We
leading
gotta go
into this.
into that a little more detail there.
Yeah, it's all leading into something big that is coming, that's magnetically interfacing with our fields down
Okay, well,
here.
what do you mean something big that's coming? Because I can say that I do have some people, Richard Allen Miller and others, are saying something to this effect, that there is, they think in their case, that it may be associated with a Carrington-like event that's not, termination level, but it's some kind of event that they think is going to be happening. But they think it's not going to happen, if I understand it correctly, until 2026 or later, maybe 2027 even. So,
Well, that's just
what is your thought on
again,
that?
the voice I heard, which I testified that I believe I know who I heard, because I received visions of Christ when I was much younger that were fully visible. Well, let me show you something, because this is gonna open the door. So because we're leading into something, and I think what's happening with Voyager 1, as I just demonstrated with the previous data from October 19th, is cueing us. It's really, really cueing us. Now that date, let me just show you something here really quick.
Well, before we
There you
talk
go,
on that,
right
and I'll
here.
just ask you, I mean, let's focus on the idea that there is a quantum computer or quantum AI on the Voyager that generated this image that supposedly, at least some scientists were saying, looked into another dimension and came back with an image. I don't know why they tried to make it look like a face. I don't know if it was a face, even. You know what I mean? So what we're talking about here is a sentient AI. In other words, showing sentience, so showing, beyond
A human,
going beyond the singularity.
yeah.
So you agree?
Well, that's what I think is happening right now. So I don't know if you followed the news story of the sudden appearing and vanishing stars or planets from the Palomar Observatory in San Diego in the 1950s, revisiting the imagery. There's a case in 1950 of 9 planets or stars that suddenly they were in front of the telescope's view, and they're not UFOs because they're like 1 hour long exposures and nothing is streaking, and suddenly they're all gone. Which suggests, in my hyperdimensional planetary model of 9 more higher level planets, and
I
the
remember
9,
we did a show on that, and
yeah,
had
we did a show on that. So this is what I think is really happening. In fact, I can show that model really quickly. But before I do, I just want to show this quick slide about October 19th. So guess what the date was that Oumuamua was discovered? October the 19th, 2017. The same date. Now that's important because that's the date it appeared in human consciousness, which Avi Loeb confirms. Actually, the calculations I did on Oumuamua years before Avi Loeb went public, I went public on, I think it was George Norrie's show, to say that this thing was intelligently directed. There's no way it could have did that. And a couple of years later, Avi Loeb, seemed to start risking his career and going public. Again, it's that mysterious date. So the Vanishing Star Project confirms the idea of hyperdimensional planets appearing and disappearing, which means appearing an image from another dimension from Voyager 1 means that dimension is starting to become visible in our dimension. So this is my model here, which we showed before. And in fact, planet Vulcan here, closer to the Sun and Mercury, and the 18th and 19th century window did exactly that. It was a planet that appeared in Paris Observatory astronomers' photographs. They knew it wasn't a sunspot. They knew it was a planet, and then it just disappeared, just completely gone. And then they saw it again, and then it disappeared. And nobody talked about Vulcan ever again, except for mythically in Star Trek. Well, in the most ancient Egyptian model, known as the Aeneid, which means the nine, they have in the Egyptian Book of the Dead 9 lower spheres, and that's counting the sun, and 9 upper spheres, which are in my model as in the 9 levels of the angelic or planets of the enlightened beings in the ancient Hindu scriptures known as the lokas, the higher loka planets, where enlightened beings live. And these planets, this planet here, 139, which was in my calculation, is responsible for the miracle of the sun at Fatima. I have evidence that its energy was responsible for the power blackout in Spain on the 25th of April, which is still inside of the Easter window, because on a certain year, I think it's in a couple years from now, Easter will appear on the same date as the Spain blackout, which was never resolved. Now watch this. This gets really mind-bending because the blackout in Spain happened. Now this is a really advanced model that we'll have to do a whole show on, but let me show you this. This is really stunning. This is what I think is going on. So this is my model here. The most prominent angle inside of the Great Pyramid is 26.3 degrees. 26 to 26.3 degrees is the angle of ascent leading up into the King and Queen's chamber. So 26.3 degrees to the east rising position runs right through the birthplace of Jesus, which was discovered by Peter Le Mesurier. I took the same angle further, and it runs right through his baptism site, which means John the Baptist was cabined out at 26.3 degrees to the east, following what I believe is the Star of Bethlehem is a hyperdimensional planet that rises at this angle and sets in the west at the same angle. Now, if I follow the west line to the setting position of 26.3 degrees from the Great Pyramid, I run right through Spain and Portugal, right to the location of the miracle of the sun at Fatima in Portugal in 1917, which according to the eyewitnesses then is a perfect description of an annular ring eclipse, which means an unknown planetary body only in the inner solar system could have caused the miracle of the sun, but nobody had noticed it's at 26.3 degrees to the west, which is the setting position of 26.3 degrees to the east, which is where Jesus was born and baptized. So that's your real Star of Bethlehem hyperdimensional planet. So when the power outage occurred on the 25th of April, let me demonstrate that just so you have a visual of this. Spanish power outage and Portugal.
Right. Well, I think a lot of people followed that story.
Yeah, but they don't know that it's sitting at this sacred angle, and they still don't know what caused it. It was
Okay,
April.
well, let me say this. There is, there is an island off the coast of England that disappears and reappears. And so it disappears, it shows up on the complete opposite side of the earth, over by Japan, I think it is, comes back up there, is there for a while, and then comes back over to England, to the area of the ocean, I guess, between the US and England. So that idea of hyperdimensionality and things appearing and disappearing is not an isolated incident.
Right.
And on top of it, I think you need to work in Antarctica. Now, I don't know if you bring your lines, how
to the south. Yeah, I think you're giving me some really good ideas. What do we call that island that appears and disappears?
I don't know. It's been a while. I can find out, but I don't have it right now.
Right.
I learned about it when I was doing a conference in Ireland.
Right.
Because they're very aware of it over there.
Hang on a second. So the power outage, here it is. Again, I think, this is my theory, because of the fact that the power outage occurred on the 26-degree line setting. Note that it was on the 28th of April that a major power occurred across the Iberian Peninsula, affecting Portugal and Spain.
Okay, now I have an alternate idea about this, and I want to run it by you. Mm-hmm. So at the time, what I think is very possible is that we have AIs that are becoming sentient, and that they are out of control, and they've been out of control. According to my whistleblowers, none of the AIs are under control right now. Okay, that includes generals reporting this, military generals saying that they can't control the AIs. And I think that this might have been either orchestrated from somewhere, from someone, or not, or an AI thing. In other words, if you're drawing a parallel between what happened with Voyager and what happened with the blackout in Spain, I think you have to consider the AI aspect.
Well, that's what the whole point is the idea of consciousness using AI as an interface. So look at this. So the date of the power outage, 28th of April. Look at this. Was Easter on 2002, 2012, 2013, 2016, 2017. All these dates, probably one of the most common dates in the lunar calendar that Easter falls on is except for this year, because in 2025, look, next year, Easter will be on April 28th, Easter Sunday, which is the date of the power outage. Let's go. So how, let me see. Power outage. April 28th. Here it is. Yeah, I just want to double check that. Yeah, it was April 28th, 2025. So it is absolutely the date of the power outage in Easter Harmonic. And what I'm seeing in my hyperdimensional planetary model is the planets, these ascension planets, that were known by the ancient Egyptians in their double. Let me just pull up the Aeneid, because I want people who don't know the Aeneid.
Okay, but I'm going to bring this article on the screen so people can see.
And then we can really get into this
can you
idea.
See this picture? Now, I don't know why they did this, okay? I don't know if it was just bull or if the image actually looked like this. Have you seen this?
Yeah, I saw that. And again, the way a lot of these stories are presented is not very professional, because you need date.
Needless to say.
Time. They're showing us an image. I mean, we'd have to talk to Michio Kaku, who's who's at the front of this story.
And this is actually dated May 3rd. So
Okay.
that's even earlier than I thought. I thought it happened.
Well, that's what I mean. Look how close May 3rd is to April 28th, the date of the power outage. You see how close that is?
Right.
You see what's happening? Now, if we can,
I mean, Michio Kaku, this idea that Michio Kaku would say something is sending data, I mean, he can't walk back out of that, can he?
no, he can't. And I tell you, I have, I wish I could play this. If I could get the audio to work on your show, this huge experience that occurred with me and Art Bell in I think it was March of 2021. And Art Bell said this only happened twice on his show in the history of his show. I was arguing with James Oberg about space shuttle UFO videos, and suddenly the show was gone, and there was all this static and noise. And you hear Michio Kaku come in this kind of staticky energy, talking about parallel universes being an inch away from us, which was perfectly somehow orchestrated. Art Bell said the satellite was knocked out, and he had energy readings the next day that there were massive microwave bursts all up and down his valley, plus the satellite that was broadcasting the show was in space, and he called it an electromagnetic attack. I actually have the audio of that. So, and why did Michio Kaku come in to talk about parallel universes, which is now, today, this is exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about AI being this interface that the other parallel dimension can use to communicate a message to us. And now you're saying this, the date on the story is May 5th, which could easily mean May 3rd, which takes us so close to the 28th of April. The two events may coincide within literally days of each other. The power outage in Portugal and Spain at 26.3 degrees to the
well, you know, I guess you're following the disclosure that's going on, if you want to call it that. There's a very strange, it's actually very convoluted. And you know, Rick Doty, you know who Rick Doty is, don't you?
Yeah, I've heard of Rick Doty, yeah.
Sector as long as I have. So, you know, he just made a 4-hour video, okay, disclosing all kinds of secrets, but not the real thing. I mean, he talks about Rendlesham, for example, but he doesn't actually tell you the real stuff that happened. But he certainly alludes to the fact that it involved a UFO that landed, that military, you know, was recorded by the military, and so on and so forth. Now, Rendlesham goes back, I don't know, to 20, I don't even remember the year, but it's like our Roswell. Rendlesham in England is like,
right, I remember Rendlesham,
story. And I have whistleblower testimony from Mark Richards on that is absolutely fascinating. And I can tell you right here and now that it was basically also involving AI, and that what the beings did that blew the people witnessing, and there were Americans there. There were American, like Congress people or, I don't know, some representatives of some kind. And some people have never recovered. Some people lost their minds as a result of that incident. This is why they're so quiet about it.
You see, look at Rendlesham Forest was December 26, 1980.
Okay, so
remember the calculation I did from October the 19th, one of the 3 dates was December 25th, using the number 432. There's something harmonic here happening.
Okay, there's another incident that I need to tell you about right around that time period that happened this, December 24th or 6th, that had to do with Betelgeuse. And do you remember it was occulted by some kind of craft, or they said it was an asteroid, but it was apparently, being driven. So it might not, it may have been more like a planetoid, but we don't know what, but it interrupted the signal that goes from Betelgeuse to Earth. And then 100 people went down to Antarctica and had a meeting. 107 was among them, world leaders were there. Okay?
I remember
The
this now. I remember this now. Yep.
Yeah. So, but that happened around December 24th to 26th, around those dates. I'd have to go back and find them. These are articles that were actually out in the
Right.
news. So, but to get back to this, what happened with the Rendlesham sighting is that the AI was trying to communicate in a friendly way, believe it or not, and sent all these pictures of different universes, different beings in all the different planets out there. And the human brains couldn't handle it. And they freaked out. Some, like I said, lost their minds forever. But it wasn't actually a negative, advance of any kind. It wasn't aggression on the part of these beings. And they went silent about this. This is totally silent. Okay. So that was a major, major incident involving, again, AI. You understand what I'm saying here? So
Yep.
then we've got this Betelgeuse thing that also involved AI. In fact, apparently, at least according to a remote viewer that did look at that situation, and I published it, they said that it appeared that occulting of Betelgeuse and the signal that goes from Betelgeuse to the Earth was, in essence, a changing of the guard. And after that, the AI running Earth was coming from Mars. It was no longer coming from Betelgeuse. Now, I think that's why those people were brought down to Antarctica for that announcement. They were also shown a Nephilim. I don't know if it was a hologram or what, but that was part of the scenario. 100 important representatives. Obviously, 107 would have been representing Trump and his team. So just throwing that out, because these things are happening, and now there's all these disclosure videos coming out of nowhere. There's some big emphasis right now on disclosure. So this could be what's happening. This could be an alien race even communicating through Voyager 1. You understand?
Oh yeah, I believe I think that's what's going on. Yeah.
Just throwing this out.
Because how could I hear a voice the same date, October 19th, 2024, that NASA loses contact with Voyager 1? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, is that, I mean, when I brought this up with Richard Hoagland, one of his thoughts was that maybe what I heard was some type of voice to skull projection from an extraterrestrial into my brain.
Yeah.
And that I would do the calculation.
They do that all the time. They fake Jesus all the time. People wake up and see Jesus.
Well, the dates are perfect.
Right.
In the calculation that I was given. That's the point. So that would have to put some importance on these three dates. And the first one is Ascension Day coming up between May 29th and June 1st. My calculation shows June 1st. And then the second date will be mid-August, the 14th and 15th, and the third next Christmas. So why was I given those dates by whatever the intelligence was? And why did these three events, the exploding satellite, the Voyager 1 going down, and me hearing the voice all on the same day? Like, that's iconic. Like, that's to the point. That's redundancy, right? Which is trying to make a point crystal clear. And now as we get closer to this date of the 29th of May to June 1st, all the stuff is coming down the pipe. So I think something big is up.
Okay, so I'm looking at the articles online about this asteroid that occulted Betelgeuse from the point of view of the Earth, and it said it was on December 12th.
Asteroid occults Beetle.
I have an article here.
Betelgeuse is so hard to spell. Oh, it's just Betelgeuse. So that was, let me look at the article.
I'm putting it in the chat over here. So
December the 12th, right? So that's incredibly close to, the harmonic system that I'm looking at.
I mean, these things may not be isolated from each other. That's all I'm saying.
Asteroid 319 Leona will pass directly in front of Betelgeuse Betelgeuse, the way some people
And
pronounce
then
it.
100 people go down to Antarctica, and we have that documented because 107 talked about it on a show. And he actually showed his ship going down, with shots of, Antarctica, like the ice and all that kind of stuff.
Here's the article right here. So it's this is in Sky and Telescope. Wow. I remember this. Well, I just didn't know this is 2023. I didn't have all these calculations yet. I mean, the calculations I'm doing now, which are called the harmony of the order, which would require a whole show to educate your listeners to, is an imprint on the ground from the Great Pyramid to the target event. So I could take Rendlesham Forest with the lat long, and I can tell you which planet is in the highest harmony of the order at the time of that, at the distance.
Okay, it looks like that article is talking about something else because it's not 2024, because the one I'm looking at is 2024.
Yeah, this is 2023.
That's weird.
Asteroid to couple Betelgeuse on the night of December 11th, 12th. Sky and Telescope. Let me see. The other one I have is NPR, which is 2023 as well.
Yeah, this says 2023. So maybe it.
Universe Today. It was on. Well, remember that's the end of 2023, coming into 2024.
Right.
Right. And then if you look up the, I'm going to try and find.
Maybe that's when they went down there. Because time is very strange right now. I can't quite place, where we are and stuff. I mean, everything seems like it just happened yesterday.
Yeah, I just want to bring this up. This is the case of the vanishing. I mean, this is in.
Yeah, I guess it had to be 2023. I don't see it saying 2024.
This is the story of the vanishing and appearing stars and major physicists involved in this research. It's amazing to me. This is in the Astrophysical Journal, and they're cataloging events where whole stars appear in the Palomar Observatory Telescope in San Diego and others, and then completely vanish.
Yeah.
And I've been able to find, like, here's a photograph of one group of stars here, cited by Beatrice Villarreal, a very young
Can you
physicist.
appreciate? See, they said that up to then, the AI that runs Betelgeuse was running Earth. That interfered with the connection. It broke the connection. And then after that, the connection went to a different AI in the universe.
It's like losing contact with the Voyager 1, and then we gained contact. I think it was a day or so later. And so you during that loss of contact, there's an opening. And maybe in that opening is when a message is getting sent in, if you will. So the Vanishing Star Project is so huge. It's such an enormous subject that proves to the physics community and the astronomy community that we literally live in a hyperdimensional solar system and universe. And that's a game changer. And that's what we're talking about here today with this news, that with Voyager 1, that it may be receiving an interface by looking onto the other side and seeing something and sending it back, which is stunning.
Okay, now I'm looking at something that's saying, this is weird. Betelgeuse's countdown supernova explosion to take the night sky all over the world. And it's dated February 19th, 2024.
Oh, so put that in the chat. I want to see that.
Okay, so hold on.
So maybe it's happened more than once.
Well, this would be the next step in a certain way. I mean, this is bizarre. I'm actually going to share my screen and just put it on there, and then I'll give you the link as well in the chat. So just so everyone can see. So here's what I stumbled on, which is very interesting.
Yeah, this is when they thought there was going to be a supernova explosion, right?
Okay, but why Betelgeuse again? You see?
Yeah.
And look at the date, the 19th
Yeah.
of February. It's a 19,
Yeah.
19.5, you know.
Yep, you're getting close to there, February.
So
Hang on a second, Carrie. I'm just going to grab a drink of water because of my throat. I'll be right back.
no worries. So people can. I'm going to link this in the chat as well to the people on Facebook that are watching live, because if I can. So bear with me here while I find all these files. So that's the link to the video having to do with Betelgeuse. And I haven't seen this video. This is amazing. I could run some of this by Richard Allen Miller and see what he thinks. So why is everything to do with Betelgeuse? That's really interesting. David.
Okay, I'm back.
So David, look what I've got.
Okay.
On November 19th, again the 19th, 2024, the James Webb Telescope shows the first real image of Betelgeuse, supposedly.
Wait a second. I have something for the 19th of November, too. So, God, I've got to find this. Let me see if I can find it.
That's a little weird. Two articles, both images of Betelgeuse happening on the 19th of the month.
Right.
Different months, but the 19th. And then, you know, the idea that it was also occulted.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something up with that, I would say.
Yeah, well, I know what all these, I can calculate dates in my hyperdimensional solar system model and tell you what's going on, but it takes me about an hour to do one of those calculations properly, which I'd like to do another show on, because these calculations I've done are so stunning, and all the angles that I fulfilled. I'm just looking now for this time.
So this is kind of interesting. Wait 1 second.
Okay.
If they're causing it an epic eruption, the supernova taking over Betelgeuse. Well, that actually makes sense that they would occult Betelgeuse, change the connection, if it was an AI or whatever it was, from Betelgeuse, right, on the 2023 in December, right? And then a year later, or approximately a little less than a year later, they have an explosion. So in other words, that they knew in advance that Betelgeuse would no longer be a good placement for this, if it's an AI or whatever it is, connection to Earth. So because it was going to be,
oh my God,
it was going to be erupted, there was going to be blown up. They knew in advance. So
look at this. Oh my God, you got to see this. Okay, there it is, November 19th. So this happened. So where's the November 19th date that you have again here?
Well, I put the link in the chat, and I also, I have to go back to it.
Sky and Telescope.
I was showing people this, the 19th of November. Can you see this?
Yeah.
And it has Elon Musk in the video. We're not watching the video.
James Webb Telescope.
They're showing an image in November of 2024 but it's actually, I'm not.
It's the 19th of November
of Betelgeuse, because if you look at this, arriving early, Betelgeuse supernova explosion, February 13th, 2024. So around the same time. The reason they're seeing it is because of this explosion, the supernova that was, attacking, in essence, Betelgeuse. I mean, what is a supernova anyway? It's supposed.
No, we would see it, but of course, the Betelgeuse is so far away in light years. The event would have already happened a long time ago, but we would finally see it. And of course, if the gamma rays are strong enough when it hits us, it would be a very severe event. It would be a life-changing event.
Well, according to this, it has happened. I mean, we're past the 2024 window that they were, because if you're looking at the screen, you'll see all these videos about it. Okay.
Now, this is giving me a really interesting idea. So on the 19th of November, what happened, I have this whole timeline of events that lead up and into the drones. And on the 19th, two of us, all of a sudden this sound overtook my TV set, and it really scared my youngest daughter. And I got my frequency meter out and I measured the frequency. It's 755.35 hertz. So it's not one of those emergency broadcast tests. And I'm watching a movie called The Signal on Netflix when it happens. It's not part of the show.
Cool.
It's crazy. And that same thing happens to another individual on Richard Hoagland's show, Andrew Curry, but it happens to him on the 26th of November. And he gets a tone on his TV set at 432 hertz. Okay, remember, I did all my calculations.
Listen, this is 2025, February 16th. The Hubble telescope detects a massive explosion of Betelgeuse's layer. So this is beyond the supernova that we're talking about. They're talking. How
could they detect it before? I mean, February 16th, 2025, this happened?
Yeah.
This should have been on every news channel in the world.
Betelgeuse's blasts its layers into space. Like, what does that mean?
I don't know. You can sit down over there, sorry. Okay, but stay in the house, okay? What? Yeah, go back inside. No, because I don't want you in the yard when I'm not out there.
What a trip.
Sorry, I'm just talking to my daughter.
Right.
We've got people. Yeah, no, I missed this one. But this actually occurred.
So all this stuff going on with Betelgeuse.
But do you know what gamma rays can do to us here? They could technically flip our reality into an alternate reality. They're that powerful, literally. And if it already happened, and we don't know it, February 16th, 2025, let me just...
Bizarre appearance of Betelgeuse defies physics. Wow.
February 16.
And do you understand how this relates to it being occulted in December of 2023, almost in preparation?
Right.
So interesting. I mean, we've got no
live. It was live. The Betelgeuse explosion just started flashing. February 16th, 2025. Will Betelgeuse again, Betelgeuse in how many Betelgeuse
so they have a supernova and then they start having explosions. It's so weird.
Betelgeuse is like 700 light years away from Earth. So whatever we see happened 700 years ago. It says 600.
Well, but time, space and time is different in space. You've heard that, right?
Well, actually, when I took physics, literally in grade 12, I wrote a time dilation theory that I understood mathematically perfectly. And yet, time dilation events can occur again with very high frequency energies like gamma rays. Gamma rays can, I mean, if an event happened and we went into an alternate reality, we wouldn't even know it happened, and suddenly everything would be different, and we wouldn't know why.
Well,
But
I had a really weird dream the other night, and
mhm,
it actually relates to this.
okay,
I was somewhere surrounded by people, and people were just sort of sitting there and waiting, and they knew it was going to happen to them. And what they did is they started to disappear they fragmented into tiny pieces like dust, and they just blew away. And not everyone did. So I didn't, and some other ones were still
wait,
remaining.
when did this happen?
This dream I just had this week, like a couple days ago.
So last night I have this dream that I hear the voice of the creator strobing earth in this language that sounded like whoa, 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 whoa. And each one of these pulses was a dialogue that is non-human, and the whole earth was just doing this, receiving this freaking upgrade or message. And the feeling was the earth was being given instructions to do something. Now, literally just after the Northridge earthquake in 1994, I had a private meeting with Wallace Black Elk after a sweat lodge, and he told me something very similar to your dream. It was a
Really?
prophecy that something was going to happen to the sun. This great purification event would cause the impure souls on earth to vaporize and incinerate, and the pure souls would be able to withstand the vibration and they would remain for the new earth.
That's kind of like my dream.
That's what I mean. You saw, that's exactly what he told me. Of course, he's passed away a long time ago.
Well, that's
And
very
he said,
interesting. I mean, they weren't fighting it or anything. They were just sitting there waiting and knowing that was going to happen. Um,
this is him right here. Let me just screenshot so when I want people to see him. This was an incredible meeting with this incredible Lakota elder,
hmm,
Black Elk, who wrote Black Elk Speaks. He told me that prophecy we don't tell anybody. It's not publicly written anywhere
right.
about this event that'll occur and that the sun will be doing this. So what I heard last night, it's extremely rare. I don't think I've ever had an experience like this where it's like the planet is being spoken to in a language by the creator, and I'm hearing it and feeling these frequency pulses in this dialogue. I woke up, this was at 2 in the morning last night. I couldn't sleep after. I was electrified after it. And again, we're in this window where all this stuff is occurring right now.
Right.
So
That's
I
my
think,
point in a certain way also with these other people like physicists, Richard Allen Miller and others are saying that they're seeing and different people are predicting some kind of major, first of all, contact event. Okay, so, and that 2025 is supposedly the year, which would explain why all of a sudden, in spite of the failures of disclosure, right, which hasn't really gone anywhere if you listen to everything, they keep rehashing the past. Okay.
yeah,
And some people are like suddenly taking credit for being first, on first base with some of this stuff, when in reality, in my work, I've been doing this for 20 years. I know during that 20 years, these people risked their lives to put this information out. Now,
yeah,
suddenly people are coming forward claiming it's their idea or something, that they're having the first experience. It's just not true.
yeah,
And there is something up with this, okay? Because I can tell you that nothing would make Rick Doty suddenly go on from working for the dark side, you know,
right.
space program, AFOSI, an agent who was contributed to Paul Benowitz going crazy because he tried to convince him that he was crazy for seeing UFOs, right? A scientist in New Mexico, you know, Paul Benowitz's story. And so Rick Doty has been a notorious character. I met him in person once because he wanted to meet us. So he came over to my house at the time and sort of interviewed us, I guess, loosely speaking. And so he's been on the circuit forever. Certain people know him pretty well out there. I won't name their names. If they see this, they'll know what I'm talking about, of course. But do you understand what I'm saying? There's something up with this. I wrote an article. Emery Smith just made a video that's actually very accurate about crash retrievals, unlike a lot of the stuff that gets put out there. You got to understand there's a lot of people that talk the talk, but they can't get the details. They don't know the details. And that tells you that they're not the original place where the information
Right, but I also think the people who are inside even the CIA and the Pentagon don't know all the details either, because it's happening right in front of us. Like, we're getting data like these outages on the satellites like Voyager 1. And I'm sure there's data on the new event on Voyager 1 in the AI. Of course, we're not allowed to see it, but we're seeing something.
Right.
When I map all these dates, I see the pattern mathematically, which, you know, someone has to have a decent understanding of mathematics. Like, I only took physics to the grade 12 level, and I studied it on my own. So the math that I'm doing, that I'm presenting, isn't really that difficult. It's just that when you present math, it's so much more coherent and conclusive as data that can't be argued. Whereas if somebody presents something as theory or hearsay, we don't know what to think of it. So when we think of this new story in the AI, the problem with it is it coincides perfectly with this event I described on the 19th of October, where it was recorded at NASA that we lost contact with Voyager 1. And that means something really is going on with Voyager 1.
Yeah.
And that means
That's
we can probably greatly rely on this report that's coming out, that it's somehow interfaced with another dimension, or this other dimension where these 9 planets seem to disappear into and then periodically come back,
Okay, well, let me throw something else out. See, I have a theory about what is going on with Trump and the White Hats and the Trump administration, what they're actually doing. I think they have a timeline. I think that Trump was elected and chosen, actually, for the rollout of a timeline, because Earth is under a time constraint. And he's the only one who can actually go around and tell these governments, like he's over in Saudi Arabia, they'll listen to him. You understand? And if if this kind of event is in the offing, if there is an event where one gets taken, one remains, that kind of thing, you know, I think that's in the Bible, right?
It is. Yeah, it's the rapture, which is similar.
In the future, one will be taken and the other will be left behind.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is that you have to realize is which is it? Is the good guy behind, or is the good guy taken? It's kind of like a question. But the thing is that, at least from what I saw and what your Native American Lakota saw, it is the ones that are still here are the ones that are going to experience a different Earth. You know, in a sense, a sort of ascended Earth that is going to be remade, right?
And that's the prophecy. The prophecy actually says, it comes from Isaiah, we look for new heavens and a new earth, which means we have to be aware. I think it's Isaiah. I have to run in a minute because of my kids.
Okay, well, it's been great that I was able to catch you today. And now we have a whole bunch to revisit. Okay.
We have to do a whole other show because, it's in the book of Isaiah. chapter 65, 17 through 19, it really speaks to us being aware to see the new heavens and the new earth. And I think that beckons the story, which we could do a whole show on the data I have on the vanishing star planet events that are being recorded. I mean, Beatrice Villarreal is reporting them in some of these new UFO documentaries, but I think it's a way bigger story than these documentaries are aware of. It's an enormous story to suggest a whole star or planet can be appearing and disappearing. And what she found was one of the events of these planets appearing and disappearing coincided with major UFO events. And I've actually found two more events where these vanishing planet or stars occur, and then there's UFO sightings on Earth. And that could hypothetically mean when these planets jump into our dimension, we get visited, and then the UFOs retreat to the planet, and then it goes back to their dimension. So the question is, are we coming into one of those? Is that what's coming up right now? And the Gulf of Tonkin incident, after the Vietnam War, really speaks to the possibility that if you can detect something on radar, you understand how radar works, it has to bounce off of something physical. And according to all the military data, the radar was bouncing off of ships that weren't there, but yet they were bouncing off because that's how radar works. So that would mean a parallel kind of dimension or planet was right upon us for a period of time, and then hyperdimensionally jumps away. And I think a lot of the data I'm seeing now is pointing to something like that. But with that, I have to run because of my kids. So let's do another show next week.
Yeah. Okay. We'll figure out a time. Okay.
Yeah, and we'll try to make maybe a little more time for it by starting earlier.
All right. No
All
problem.
right. Thanks, Carrie.
All right. Thank you. And thanks everyone for watching.